It's been a
I figured.
strange
I
day.
figured.
I took the flu vaccine. Did I tell you that yesterday? I took the flu
No.
vaccine. Yeah, well, when I get to, by the way, the rash is better.
Good.
Well,
Excellent.
I should say it's slightly better.
It's improving.
It's improving. It doesn't itch quite as much, and I've kept my arm all. I think that's what it was,
Yeah, you got to get one of those like a little crutch for your arm
right?
just to hold it up.
Yeah.
About 30 seconds.
All right.
Yes, Cam, I did see that Greenland is to be renamed Red, White, and Blue Land, unfortunately. I wish it was a joke, too.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 12 noon on this Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. Glad to have you along. It's a great day to be a Wisconsinite here, coming to you live downtown Madison at the world headquarters of Civic Media. It is partly sunny out there, but Aaron Zommers, snow is on the way for parts of the state. How about that?
Yeah, I haven't heard the latest information. The last I heard is that it's supposed to snow tomorrow and also Friday.
Yeah, much of Wisconsin. I've been listening to Brittany Merlot, others of our meteorology team, and yeah, it's going to get snowy in parts of Wisconsin. I'm just pulling up here as I'm trying to vamp, as they say. Here we go. Some watches and warnings, weather advisories put out by NOAA. Now, NOAA, the National Organization of Atmospheric Administration, better known as the Weather Service, that's one of the places that the made up agency Doggy, better known as Doge, is they're looking at cutting because they said, well, we don't need people to tell us what's going to go on.
Well, I think it might have something to do with the stupid weather control thing that their conspiracy theory that NOAA does not forecast the weather. They create it.
Right. They think it's a weather machine. And and who needs NOAA when you got a Sharpie pen that you can just draw on maps and say, oh, this is where.
Just change the hurricane path.
Of course, we're kidding here. Unfortunately, not kidding about the Doge folks, the Trump folks looking at cutting NOAA, or at least significant parts of it. That is real. And also, it is real that there are certain weather advisories, watches out right now for much of Wisconsin, a big weather system coming in. And basically, for the southern third to southern half of the state tonight into tomorrow, I believe it is, going to get quite a bit of weather here in Madison, Dane County Regional Airport, under a, what do they call it, hazardous weather conditions. So not going to be quite as bad here. It looks like tonight, looks like some snow coming in, mainly, but it's going to be later on in late evening into the early morning hours of tomorrow. The greatest chance of snow tomorrow morning here in south central Wisconsin around 8 a.m. Looks like 2 to 4 inches of snow possible into the driving hours, another 1 to 2. So it could be up to 6 inches of snow, somewhere between 4 and 6 here in south central Wisconsin. For our listeners over in Milwaukee and WAUK, winter storm watch in effect until 12 a.m. on February 13th, on Thursday. So it looks like snow is going to be moving in tomorrow morning after 9 a.m. in southeast Wisconsin. 3 to 5 inches of snow initially possible. And then tomorrow night, another 2 to 4 inches of snow. So maybe up to 9 inches there in southeast Wisconsin. And the problem with this, of course, is that it's going to be moving in across the state over commuting times. So part of Wisconsin in southwest and south central Wisconsin is going to be during tomorrow morning's commute. And then for south central and southeast Wisconsin, a lot of this is going to be during tomorrow afternoon's commute. So one of those days where if you can work from home, if that is allowed, you might want to think about that. For our listeners up at the TAP, WCFW, and WBZH up there in Hayward, in that area, a hazardous weather outlook looks like probably an inch to less of accumulation possible, but still good, just enough to get slickery up there. Of course, they got several inches of snow last weekend from that storm system that went through. The middle part of the state, our listeners in Wausau area, La Crosse area, probably not going to get much, just a few flakes, a few flurries. Over in the Green Bay area, kind of the same deal. No watches and warnings specifically for Green Bay. And it comes down to our listeners at WISS and Oshkosh area. Kind of a line from Oshkosh over to, say, Prairie du Chien, Richland Center, Wisconsin Dells. That's where the lighter snow is going to fall and then gets more or heavier as you get towards Waukesha and Milwaukee and Racine and Kenosha. Down south of that, just south of the state line, Rockford over to Chicago area, going to get more snow. And then if you're going to be traveling down, say, into Iowa tomorrow, might want to rethink those plans, winter storm warnings. So the heaviest of the snow going to go just south, but still, 9 inches in Milwaukee. That's going to make things rough going for that commute tomorrow. So anyway, just want to keep everybody informed, involved, and in touch, as they say, in the weather. Always good to know. Give you a heads up and just be prepared. Go a little slow out there tomorrow. Big show today. Looking forward to it. Lots of now. Usually on Tuesdays, our friend Luke Mathers is in for a Tuesday tangent with Lukester. He is on a well-deserved vacation. Now, is it a coincidence that it was the same week as Pat Kreitlow? I think not.
You know, Luke told us this bunk about how he's going to national parks with his wife or something. He and Pat are really just hanging out. They brought the pontoon down to the Gulf of America.
Right. Oh, thank you for bringing that up, by the way. Thank you for bringing that up. We talked about this yesterday, this goofy executive order by Trump renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, and signed these proclamations on Air Force One on the way to the Super Bowl Sunday, these executive orders ordering Google and Apple Maps to change this. And we reported to you yesterday that had not occurred, but Zommers, you have an Android phone. Where are we at?
Yeah, I checked again before the show, and I sent a screenshot to Todd. It is now in Google Maps, the Gulf of America, and that is very disappointing to me because
Very disappointing.
I really thought they weren't going to do it, especially because Google's old, what is it? Their old slogan or motto or whatever used to be "Don't be evil."
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it did originally.
I didn't know that.
I don't know if you'll be able to see this on the stream, but I'll try and put it in front. Right. You might.
A little
yeah,
glare.
you can see it says Gulf of America. You can at least
right
see
there
that
on
it
your
doesn't say
phone.
Gulf of Mexico.
I looked up on my iPhone, on my Apple Maps. It still says Gulf of Mexico on my iPhone. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, well, I really thought neither of them were going to do it.
Right. He didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it. But they did it anyway. So there's that going on. So here's the deal. Lots of news. I mean, the volume of news headlines that comes out these days is overwhelming. Much of it, of course, is kind of to distract us. Some of it very, very important. One of the things coming up later this week, we're hearing now that the United States House of Representatives is going to mark up the federal budget that's coming up. They're doing it on Thursday, when I believe the House is scheduled to be out of for recess for a week right after that. And nobody really knows what they're doing. The budget, of course, is what happens with our tax dollars. So, that's kind of important. And that seems to be going on behind closed doors. It's unknown whether the United States Senate is going to follow suit and do this stuff behind closed doors. So things like the budget, our money, our taxes, who's controlling our payment systems, those are all very important things. And lots of other stuff, like this Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America stuff is just kind of distracting. But what is not distracting is what affects our lives each and every day. I went grocery shopping last night, and I thought, well, this might be fun. I thought, and again, maybe I'm oversharing. I don't care. I mean, the one thing you get with me is transparency. I thought I'll bring in my receipt from the grocery store last night, and we'll go over it. And I don't care. I'll tell you how much I paid. Because I was going, and I went to Woodman's last night, which is always an adventure, just because of the hugeness and And there were a lot of people shopping with kids last night, like small kids. And some of them were crying and screaming. And at first I was just like, oh my God, I was a little annoyed. I'll be honest with you. And then I thought about I've quoted him so many times, one of my favorite philosophers, Yogi Berra, the late great baseball player Yogi Berra. One of my favorite quotes of him is, you can see a lot just by looking around. And so I took a moment. The other philosopher, great philosopher in my life, my seventh grade algebra teacher, Andy Spees, who's fond of saying, remember, math, as in life, it's always good to pause and reflect. Pause and reflect. So I took a moment as I was going through Woodman's last night to pause and reflect. And what I thought there was a younger mom. I'm going to guess she was maybe 30-ish, something like that. And she had two kids, I would guess were 4 and 6, 5 and 7, no more than 7, probably 4 and 6. And they were laying underneath the cart, as kids do, and she was just standing there looking at a list and her phone and just standing there staring at it. And it brought me back to my mom. After my parents got divorced, my dad left, and our relationship is fine now, but at the time he went 3 years without paying child support. And my mom had to decide every day, every week, how to make the little bit that she was making running a camera store feed us, my sister and I. And I saw my mom in this woman last night, and I could only imagine what she was going through. Because I'm fortunate. Look, I ain't getting rich. I got no yachts. I got no whatever. But I'm very thankful. I get paid fairly for what I do. And I love what I do. And I'm very thankful for this job. But I'm one guy. I'm one person. And I have the luxury of going in and buying what I need right now. And you're going to see from my grocery list, I don't think I'm buying too much extravagant. But I paid last night and again, I bought some staple items, as I call them, things you're not going to buy every time you go to the grocery store. Like I needed laundry detergent, so I bought a big thing of Tide. All right, I bought some. Not that rice is expensive, but I bought a thing of rice. It'll last me a while. So I bought some staple items, some shampoo, some soap, things like that. My bill last night was $175.26 for me.
Wow.
And, that's a lot of money for me, but I budget that. And again, these are things that are going to take me through for a while. But I thought of that mom, if that's what it costs for me as a single person, what does she have to work with in terms of money, and how far does she have to stretch that? And I thought, that's what all this news is right now. We're missing the point. How does this affect our lives every day in the grocery aisle in Wisconsin? So we're going to come back. I'm going to disclose what I bought. You can call in. We can talk about it. What are your grocery bills? What do you pay? Come on back. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Tuesday on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. Donald Trump is president again, and Democrats need to take a new approach to combat this presidency. Part of that is recognizing the realignment of how we arrived here. In last year's election, one thing Trump did successfully was turn out people who might not otherwise vote. In Wisconsin, he increased his vote share in all 72 counties en route to the largest popular vote total in state history. How did he do this? Well, as I see it, there are two factions of Republicans. One is the more traditional country club Republicans. The other is the newer group, what I'm calling the pro-wrestling Republicans. In my
Jeff
latest
Perry has
column,
the
I wrote
solution.
about how Donald
What
Trump
does Jeff say?
transformed the
3
party
words.
by
Mrs.
prioritizing
Paul's
the pro
fish
wrestling
sticks.
Republican.
If it's not Mrs.
And why
Paul's,
recognizing
throw
this
it
new
back.
reality is critical to Democrats' ability
You
to
should
grab
try
a
to
steel
Google
chair
that.
of their
I'm seeing
own
if they
and
can
fight
find
back.
that ad, that radio ad.
Subscribe and read
If
it
it's
now
not
at the
Mrs. Paul's,
Recombobulation Era.
throw it back.
Every story matters, and the Civic Media Radio Network
It would
is
have been for like the
celebrating Black
late
History
80s, early
Month by
90s.
honoring the powerful stories of Wisconsin's own trailblazers.
I found one.
Looking at the road that was laid before
Just
me.
the tagline,
Civil rights
because we don't want to do a commercial.
Food and like food trucks is just like a cool atmosphere.
Science to music.
That ain't it.
I'm Terry Barr, inviting you to join us right here for inspiring stories all month long.
It's a weird, like,
Looking to
That's
strengthen
forwarding
bonds
one.
with your
that's
puppy,
not it.
Dane County Humane Society
It's like an
offers
old
a
man
variety
voice.
of dog training classes led by
supposed to
certified
be like a
trainers.
seafarer
Classes
voice,
are
I
designed
guess.
to help you and your furry friend learn new skills, improve behavior, and deepen your connection. Whether your dog is a curious puppy, an independent
We'll set it
teenager,
up. We'll go to
or
Mark
a
quick,
lifelong learner,
'cause I don't wanna
DCHS
go too
has
far
the
and come back
tools
to
and
that, so we'll
expertise
go
to
to that
help you
quick, so
set the
get back in
stage
this.
for a successful year.
There's a wonderful world where all you desire and everything you've longed for is at your fingertips, where the bittersweet taste of life is at your lips, where aisles and aisles of dreams await you, and the cool promise of ecstasy fills the air. At the end of each working day, she's waiting there. I'm in love with the queen of the supermarket. As the evening sky turns blue, a dream awaits in aisle number 2. With my shopping
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 22 past the hour, 12 noon on Tuesday, February 11th. If you ever get yourself a radio show, make sure you get yourself a producer and engineer like Aaron Zommers. Well done. Little boss.
some of the boss, yeah.
What's the name of that song?
Queen of the Supermarket.
All right. I want to make sure we got it right. You can't go wrong with the boss, Bruce Springsteen, right? Absolutely fantastic. Gonna get into this. I went grocery shopping last night, where I'm going to disclose to you what I bought. And I want you to call in and see, well, you can judge me. I don't care. People will judge. I don't care. But I'm going to tell you what I bought. I'm a single guy. I'm not making, I'm not rich, but I'm paid fairly. And as one person, and again, I bought some staple items. This is not my bill every week or every 2 weeks even. So I bought things that'll last me, like the laundry detergent I bought last night will probably be 2.5 to 3 months. So I bought some staple items on here, but I paid $175.26 at Woodman's last night. And I want to put this in context, what working people are paying to live, literally to live. For single parents, for young parents who have kids. Because we hear from the MAGA Trump elected folks in Washington that they want people to have more children. But little do we hear about how they're going to make it easier to raise those kids. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Let's go to Mark in Prairie du Sac. Mark, you want to go back and comment for a moment on this, not more ridiculous stuff, but just kind of confounding that Trump's executive order that formally asked/forced Google and Apple to change Gulf of America or Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. And Google so far has done it. What do you want to say, Mark?
Yeah, I'm just kind of surprised he hasn't taken offense to the fact that we're still named after, some Italian Catholic from back in the 16th century named Amerigo Vespucci. I mean, you'd think he'd take offense to that. I mean, rather than the Gulf of Mexico named after the Mexican people that actually lived in kind of the dominant culture and what the Spanish were first facing when they reached the New World. I mean, it's just, and on the groceries, getting to that, I mean, I remember Jesse Waters not all that long ago said, "Oh, real men do not go grocery shopping with their wives, and they don't go grocery shopping." I see men all the time out grocery shopping with their kids in tow or in the cart, and I usually say something to the kid, "Well, you're making sure Dad gets everything on the list. He doesn't get in trouble." And I see couples shopping together as well. And what the heck are single men supposed to do? Because I'm, single at this point in my life, and I have to do my own grocery shopping. I mean, how far up there,
Keisters?
the end of the elementary canal, are these guys' heads that they're saying this kind of nonsense?
Appreciate it, Mark. Agree. I saw it. I was at Woodman's and I saw a lot of male-female couples looked like they're husband and wife with their young kids shopping last night. I saw single moms shopping, and yes, I saw some single guys shopping. It turns out that all of us human beings need food. All right, so that's interesting. 855-752-4842. Wisco Paul is on the line. Wisco, always a pleasure. What say you?
Hey, Todd. Thanks for taking my call. I'll just touch bases here. I cannot believe how much power Trump has to rename it from the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, and they go along with it. It's kind of spooky. I never realized the president had this much power, and if you don't care what you do with it, it's even more power than I. You know what? It's all Trump all the time, and I can't even imagine if this was Biden doing this stuff. The right would lose their mind.
Yeah.
So
and rightly so, by the way. Rightly so. If Biden was doing this, I'd call it out too. Of course, he didn't, but I would call it out if he did it too.
Well, yeah, that'd be fine. You would call him up, but the right would be losing their mind.
100%.
You're fair and balanced, which is totally
well, we
cool,
try.
Todd. That's why I listen to you every day, because you're fair about this stuff. It's really true. You're fair. I'll let you go.
Hey, thanks
for your show.
Always appreciate it, Wisco. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. I don't want to go down this road too long, but I thought Wisco brought up a really important point. He said that, Apple and, well, not yet, but probably they will, but Google has gone along with this absurdity of renaming Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America on their sites, and that they're letting Trump force them to do it. I really think that this comes down to access, because the fact is, and we haven't really covered this that much, in the Pentagon press room, and they're doing this somewhat in the White House press room, the Pentagon press room, they kicked out NBC, CNN, and National Public Radio. And there were a couple others, but those are the three I remember for sure. Long-time institutional legacy news media. They kicked them out of. So what happens is they have these cubicles in different agencies, like the Pentagon and the State Department and the White House, where all of these national news people have little tiny cubicles where they have a desk. And sometimes on TV, you'll see the logo of the news organization. It'll say from the Pentagon. They're super small spaces, by the way. And so the Trump folks came in and kicked out CNN, National Public Radio, and NBC, amongst others, and they put in Breitbart, OWN, Huffington Post, and a couple, three others of right-leaning, quote-unquote, news organizations that have been proven that they put out essentially Trump propaganda. So I think Wisco made it important. So the reason that ABC, Disney, and CBS have recently either agreed, in Disney, ABC's case, paid $25 million in a made-up lawsuit to Trump, and now CBS is capitulating and doing the same thing. It's because they want access. It's transactional. Speaking of transactions, going to come back, tell you my shopping list from last night, go through it, take your phone calls. How much do you pay for groceries? What do these policies mean to us in Wisconsin? Come on back. It's the Allbaugh Show, along with the boss and Zommers on Civic Media's Radio Network.
Conversation 92.7 WMDX.
If it's not Mrs. Paul's, throw it back.
That's it. That was a second actor. This is great. This is great. But there was another one that's more like, it's not Mrs. Paul's. Throw it back.
I figured this probably wasn't the one you were
But it
thinking
was
of.
that's the closest one I've heard so far.
That's
Yeah.
the closest one I could find. 'Cause that's
I'm Ben Jarbo, the
1989.
Midwest Farm Report, and John Heinberg, a market advisor
Yep,
with Total
2 years
Farm
after I
Marketing
started
out of West
RCO.
Bend, is here to explain why we are seeing this.
Did you
increase
hear
in
the other one I
exports
was
and what it
playing?
could mean
Yeah,
for
that
the
was.
US
I don't know
wheat
what that was.
industry.
Seeing some decent
Wait, can you hear this right now?
export market. That's one of the areas that the
Okay,
United States
I just didn't think I had the volume up, so I was like,
just
how can
because we're
you
not
hear
one of the
that?
world's leading producers of wheat.
Oh, maybe it was the
There's
commercial
just
I was
always
hearing.
somebody's got wheat supplies available. It just feels like it's kind of a 12-month out of the year crop.
If
Either
it's not
Australia's
Mrs.
got a good
Paul's.
crop, or Brazil, Argentina's got a crop going. You obviously got the Russian wheat supplies, European wheat supplies constantly.
Oh, the
coming
White
into
House
the
says it has
marketplace.
negotiated
So
the
that's
release
one of the
of
things that
Mark
comes into
Fogel,
play, but
the
besides
American
the
teacher being held by Russia. I
6,
bet they did.
bushels moving
I
out,
bet they did.
which is good
I
to
bet
I mean,
they
I'm happy
did.
for his family, but I can only imagine what Tulsi Gabbard is giving them in return.
John Heinberg with Total Farm Marketing giving insight into the U.S. wheat exports. From the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo, and we'll take a look at those midday markets right after this.
Just stop and listen to these great details on our next farm tour. Hi, everybody. I'm PM Yankee, inviting you to join me July 26th through August 4th as we head to the Canadian Rockies, Vancouver, Victoria, as well as agricultural highlights. We'll start in Calgary and visit their expansive Living History Museum. Then it's off to Banff for a guided tour.
Oh, no,
and
Dave,
meet
don't go there.
Rocky. Next, we board a Via Rail train for phenomenal
No,
views
not
of
at
the
all.
Canadian Rockies.
Dave says, send a memo to accounting. Woodman's owes civic media some money. No, not at all. I'm just saying where I shop. That's it.
Vancouver Island for a stroll through Bucart Gardens. We'll learn about farming life on the island during fascinating visits to a bison ranch and a dairy farm. Go to holidayvacations.com, enter keyword Pam to get a brochure or watch a travel show. Again, July 26th through August 4th. Join me for our next tour of the Canadian Rockies.
Welcome back. I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report, and now let's take a look at what the markets are looking like midday on a Tuesday. The markets look like they are trying to push higher today as cash corn is up 4 1/4 at 4.95 3/4, and new crop corn is up 2 1/4 at 4.73 1/2. Cash soybeans are up 6 1/2 at 10.56, and new crop soybeans are up 7 1/4 at 10.64 3/4. Wheat is also
Ooh,
seeing
how about we
gains
use the
as
song
cash wheat
Gucci
is up
Grocery
8
Bag by
at
Young Thug?
5.87 1/2, and new crop wheat
As
is
long
up
as you
6
think it's
1/4
safe,
at 6.10
sure.
3/4.
No, I do not think it's
Oh,
safe.
Western milk contracts are seeing small gains as March contracts are up a penny at 19.70 a hundredweight, and April contracts are up 3 cents at 19.50 a hundredweight. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo.
Yeah, I just looked up the lyrics. It
Your
is very
news,
not safe.
conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
Partly sunny and crisp today with high temperatures in the upper teens. Will become cloudy tonight with light snow moving in tomorrow morning. Becoming heavy at times, a good 2 to 4 inches is likely throughout the day. And expect another 1 to 2
It
at
does
night.
include some
It'll be
great
gone for Thursday with
lines,
sunny
such as,
skies and temperatures still in the teens.
what was it
I'm
again?
meteorologist
I
Brittany
don't
Merlau.
sin like a
Right
nasty
now,
boy.
It's 16 degrees.
Well, all right.
This is Chad Spade for Chad's Design Build. We're proud to employ some of the best carpenters and remodeling professionals in our industry. Are you honest and hardworking?
And it
Do
looks
you
like
love
it's-
to improve people's lives by improving
I'm
their
not even
homes?
gonna go there.
Chad's
All right,
Design
yeah.
Build offers excellent compensation and benefits focused on outstanding customer service, professional design, construction management, and craftsmanship, all in a nurturing, positive workplace. Whether you're thinking about remodeling your home or considering joining our team, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
The John and Gordy Show.
We're talking with Dr. Tim Slecker.
You know, we've been on AI for a long time.
What can you now do with data? You know, ask AI, say, based on what we know about Gordy,
About 30 seconds.
and based on what we know about the job market.
doing it? Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio. It is network. It's 34 minutes past the hour of 12 noon on Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. Normally in this slot, Lukester Mathers. Luke Mathers comes in for a little Tuesday Tangents with Lukester. He is on vacation this week, a well-earned vacation. He'll be back next week, I believe. Yes, he will.
So I've been informed.
So doing a little something different, going through Todd's shopping bill last night, because so much of what we hear right now in the fire hose of information, as they say, meaning that, like, a garden hose has a certain amount of water, but a fire hose has so much water you can't put it up to your mouth and digest it, obviously. So that's kind of what's going on with so much going on in Washington, so much coming out of the Trump administration. It's hard to figure out what matters. And so I was shopping last night and saw it looked to be, I'm reading in a little bit, I'm going to say a single mom with 2 kids under 7 years old with her, just standing there looking at her list at her cell phone. And it brought me back to my mom raising my sister and I much of our lives as a single mom, and what she must be going through, and what a lot of parents are going through across Wisconsin, making decisions about what they purchase for their family. And I said before the break, look, I ain't get rich, but I'm paid very fairly for what I do. I'm very thankful for my job and what I make. And so I think all of us at least know what Woodman's is. It's a larger employee-owned store. And so I go to Woodman's when I need, like, staples, like soup or toilet paper or detergent, things like that. I go to more of a local store, Metcalf's here, that was owned for a long time by a local family. They've now been bought out by, I believe, a Michigan company. But it's more of a family-owned store. I go there for produce more and fresh meat because they buy a lot of local things from Wisconsin farmers. When I can, I love a good locally owned market as well in small towns across Wisconsin. My bill, and again, don't want you to think this is not my bill every week or every 2 weeks even. But my bill last night was $175.26. And I bought staples like laundry detergent and things like that are going to last me for a while. But my mind went to, that's a lot of money for me, $175. But I planned for it, I budget for it, and bought staples. What are parents doing with single kids every week right now? Single parents with kids, I should say. So I want to go through some of these items here and see what your grocery bill is. And this is the context that I hope all of us start looking at this fire hose of information from Washington through. What does this really mean to you or I? Because most people I encounter, a lot of people, I'll bring up some hot topic of the day. They're like, I don't know. I'm just like too ticked off. I'm too overwhelmed. It depresses me. I just went for a walk. I've got to pay the bills. I went shopping. And I think it's important to look at all this stuff going on. Like, how does it impact us? So here's one of the things. So should we just go through this? First item of Zombers. Now, and right away, I'm going to get pushback. And that's fair. Because, as we found out yesterday, Todd has developed a rash, which is better, by the way, today, after I went to the doctor. I developed a rash, this is true, because of spending up to 8 hours a day on my phone scrolling for all of the news, and my right elbow has been rubbing my torso and caused a rash. Got a little medication, it's clearing it right up.
You got to stop touching yourself, Todd. Touching your
My
arm to your torso. Sorry, my bad.
I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. But anyway, at 39 past the hour, Zombers, speaking of saucy. All right, so right out of the gate here last night. So because I spend a lot of time, I don't take the time I should to prepare my food. Sometimes I'll make my own spaghetti sauce. I have like whole tomatoes or canned tomatoes. I'll do that. But I don't like to eat a lot of preservatives if I can. So yes, there have been, believe me, as recently as 4 years ago, you guys, I was in a situation where my business was not doing well. I was going to the store and scrounging for change in my truck to buy generic bread. All right. So I've been there. I don't have to do that right now, and I'm thankful. So, yes, I could buy Puego or what's the other one? What's the name of like a corporate spaghetti?
Ragu.
Yeah, Ragu. I've done that. Nothing wrong with them. Okay, nothing wrong. But a lot of them have like 13 things I can't pronounce and all kinds of sugar.
Right.
So
Lots
I
of
bought
sugar.
Right. I bought this as Michael's and somebody's sauce. It's from Brooklyn. All right. It cost me $8.99, $9 for a quart of this sauce. But the ingredients are tomatoes, basil, garlic, olive oil.
And you know, I don't think anyone can blame you for that as long as you know you can afford it.
Right. And because some people like to go out and buy a 24 pack every Friday. I just don't drink like that.
Right, exactly.
Even though I make jokes about it on the air, I'll buy a fairly cheap bottle of wine and it'll last me 2 weeks.
So we all spend a little bit more on certain things, and that's okay.
I just choose to spend my extra money on higher quality food that's supposedly better for me. So $9 for a quarter spaghetti sauce. I also bought a locally grown and produced strawberry rhubarb jam. $4.89 for a quart of that. A can of Hunt's roasted diced tomatoes, $1.39. 2 cans of tomato bisque Campbell's soup, $3.38 for both of those. 2 cans of Campbell's homestyle chicken soup, $3.38 for that. All right, here's a little. I went hungry, which you should never grocery shop hungry.
Oh yeah, that's a mistake.
Some La Frontera salsa, $3.99 for that. I was out of chipotle pepper. I like to use that in chili and other things. So I bought a higher end, nicer spice chipotle pepper, $7.99 for that. But that'll last me like 2 years.
Right.
All right, here's one I should not have bought. A box of Reese's Pieces muffin mix.
Interesting.
I never see it, and I'm a sucker for Reese's Pieces. I'm like, now they have a muffin mix?
I wonder if it's good. You'll have to let me know.
We'll make it. I'll bring it in. $3 for that. Wheaties. Now, I'm a big Wheaties fan because they're good for you. A lot of places, it's $8 now for Wheaties. And last night, I paid $4.49.
Much better.
Half price for a box of Wheaties. Some La Frontera tortillas, $3.39. La Preferencia long grain rice, $2.29. There with my salsa, I bought some chips, a bag of chips, $3.49. I should not have done that, but I was hungry. Yes, I buy throwaway cups sometimes because I drink a lot of different liquids, not alcohol. I drink orange juice and milk and cranberry juice, and I get tired of doing dishes, and so I bought a bag of like throwaway cups, $4.79. I know. Tide detergent, a big Tide detergent, $15.99. That was a big item, but that'll last me 3 months.
Right.
All right. Here was one. Now this one, I'm meeting Mom this afternoon, and we're splitting the Charmin. I bought like a 30 roll of mega rolls of Charmin.
Well, you might as well go big on that. You're going to use it eventually.
$27.99 for 30 mega rolls. Now that's not bad. I'm splitting
not
that.
Bad, yeah.
I'm splitting that.
Especially if you're splitting it. That's not bad.
Here's a nice item. They had fresh raspberries last night. $4.99. All right. So there's a partial list so far. What do you think of this? What's your grocery shopping habits? Have you seen prices go up? Is this something that concerns you in Wisconsin? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Let's go to Rick, listening on WAUK in Waukesha. Rick, thanks for listening. What say you?
Hey, I got an idea for you for saving on shopping.
All right.
If you get the 5-gallon dish soap container,
yes,
it'll second for laundry soap.
I did not know that. But now, is this safe to put in my apartment? Because it's not my washing machine.
It's kind of heavy to lift, but you can siphon it into a milk container.
I like that, Rick.
Have a great day.
Hey, thanks. All right, I appreciate it. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842.
That could be worth looking into because that would be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, it would be a lot cheaper. All right, we're looking at Todd's shopping list last night because I think how much we pay for things, our choices. I mean, that's what people are really struggling with day to day in Wisconsin. All right, I bought here. Occasionally, I just come home. I don't want to do anything. I put in as we used to call it growing up, a cardboard pizza or a frozen pizza. I bought the El Cheapo Roma. I like those because they're really thin crust. So I'll buy the Roma cheese pizza, and then I've got my buddy Kurt and Florcy and we went together. We bought a quarter steer this year from the Greene County 4-H Club, and we split the quarter steer. So I have an eighth of a steer in the freezer. And beautiful ground beef from Greene County. So I'll take some ground beef, some Wisconsin cheese, green olives, and then I'll put that on my Roma pizza.
That does sound very good.
So I bought 2 Roma pizzas last night for $3, $6 for 2 pizzas.
Did you know Wisconsin is the frozen pizza capital of America? Not the world.
No,
the frozen pizza capital of the world is Norway.
They
eat the most frozen pizzas by far, but
it's always frozen
close.
there.
Well, specifically frozen pizzas, yeah.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Because this was just a very interesting fact I learned recently. Because Wisconsin has so many places to get good ingredients, as far as cheese, as far as meat from all the cattle and stuff we have here. A lot of frozen pizzas are made in Wisconsin and consumed. Our frozen pizza aisles are enormous.
They're huge
compared to other places. I learned it recently, and I thought it was cool.
It is cool. How much do you spend on groceries? Are you worried about grocery shopping in terms of how far your dollar stretches? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. All right, continuing down the list after the Roma pizzas. Yes, I buy Eggo waffles because you have them in the freezer. I take a couple out in the morning. I put a little peanut butter and jam on them, and I'm good with coffee. So a box of Eggo waffles, $2.99. Here's one I swore I was not going to buy, but I was hungry and tired, and I literally said out loud in the aisle, thank God there's nobody around me, I said, screw it, I'm hungry. And so I bought toaster strudels, some raspberry toaster strudels.
They are really good.
And here's another thing. So that was one of the few luxuries Mom was able to afford. Once in a while, she would buy toaster strudels, and it was fantastic because my sister and I would come home from school, you put a toaster strudel in, and it was just warm and embracing and made you feel good, and you sat down and watched a rerun of the Jeffersons or Green Acres or whatever. And so, but they're terrible for my waistline. $2.99. $2.99 for a box of toaster strudel raspberry.
So is that 6 of them? Is that like
6, yeah.
50 cents a strudel?
You can't beat it with a stick. All right, here's another one. I've talked about this on the show before. I learned this years ago when I was living in Florida for a brief time and bought Organic Valley milk, which is produced in Wisconsin, and it's organic. They don't have the BGH. I think Russ Feingold, our former Democratic senator, was on to something years ago when he said we should ban BGH. So I do buy Organic Valley milk. So I buy it in 2 half gallons because it lasts me longer. I know it's more expensive that way, but so each one $4.99. So basically $10 for a gallon of milk. But I choose to buy Organic Valley because it's better for my body.
And you're supporting a local business.
And I'm supporting a local Wisconsin business. Florida orange juice. I bought 2 half gallons of that. $7.78 for both combined. Chobani yogurt. I'm a big Chobani raspberry. So it was $2.38 for 2 of those. So my friend Kristen Soper, who I used to work with at LL Bean, she told me that I should stop eating, for those watching the stream, this, which is a beautiful homemade pastry from a local bakery. And I should start eating these Kind bars that are better for me. Because I said I need a boost of sugar, like before the show. So I haven't tried this. We're going to do it live on the air right now.
I've had those before, and they are pretty good, depending on the flavor.
You know, not bad. I'll say that. Not bad. Dark chocolate chunk has quinoa in it.
They always got the quinoa, yep.
All right, we'll finish up this segment on Todd going shopping. What do you pay for groceries? And are you concerned about it? 855-752-4842. Back after this on Civic Media.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7
Now people want to talk about the Gulf of America more than shopping.
Is more than just another mattress store. You're building better sleep for Dane County.
You
With
guys, the
handcrafted
Gulf of
mattresses
America
made
stuff
to
doesn't
order
affect our
right
bottom
in
line.
Madison. And
I
since
know
they
it's
live
important,
there
but it's
too,
not
they make
important
every
like
dollar
this.
spent matter, actively partnering to benefit the community. You may even see Maddie the mattress mascot bouncing with joy around town. In this new year, get what you deserve. A mattress that supports your dreams. American made, locally crafted.
Attention. If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy that could revitalize damaged tissue. This approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 608-384-0897. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may request a free consultation by calling QC Kinetics at 608-384-0897. That's 608-384-0897.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country.
Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm laughing 9 minutes before the hour of 1 o'clock, and hour number 2, we're going to do What's the Worst. Not going to want to miss that. I'm laughing because we're talking about Todd going grocery shopping last night, the cost of what we all pay. And my point of view is that what's coming out of Washington, the way that we decipher this of what's important and what's not is, does it affect me? Does it affect us here in Wisconsin? And I think that, literally, Trump ran on the price of groceries. And I don't see him coming down right now. And I think particularly for single parents out there, people, kids, it's even a bigger challenge. So we're going through Todd's grocery shopping list and asking you what you pay for groceries. And what do you think, Zommers?
I was going to say, not only did we not see prices coming down, he is not saying anything about, all right, the prices are going to come down. I'm working on a plan. Right. Here's what I'm doing. It's just, we're going to buy Greenland.
Well, it's even worse than that, because now he's actually saying, and J.D. Vance is saying, the vice president, that, oh, by the way, there's going to be some pain first.
Well, yeah, and
we're going to have to go through pain before things get better.
As soon as
there was no talk about pain in the campaign, by the way.
As soon as the election results came through,
right,
Trump was asked about grocery prices. He's like, well, once they're up there, it's pretty hard to get them down.
That's pretty good, Thomas. The reason I was laughing coming back out of the break is somebody from WAUK, a listener down in beautiful AUK, Waukesha, Milwaukee, asked a question. And the reason I'm laughing is because I literally thought about this last night when I got this idea. Actually, it was this morning as I was driving to work. I'm like, okay, what am I going to talk about? I'm like, I will use the grocery shopping list. I'm bringing that in. And then I'm like, why do I buy these things that I don't necessarily need? And part of it, I think, in food, so much of food, I think, is psychological.
Oh, yeah.
It's how it makes us feel. And I thought, I bet you one of the reasons, beyond the fact that they taste delicious, one of the reasons I love a good toaster strudel is the memory it has growing up. And then I thought to myself, is it that just in my mind, or was it really around like, and one of our listeners at AUK says, toaster strudels are that old? So guess what, listener in Waukesha? I looked it up. Without looking, Zommers, Guess when toaster strudels first appeared?
Are they the Pillsbury one?
Yes,
Is
the
that brand?
Pillsbury toaster strudel.
1976.
Oh, off by quite a bit.
1946.
No other way. They haven't been around, but 1985.
Oh.
And I think that's why that I would have been a freshman in high school, and my sister was 4 years younger. So I think that's why Mom bought it occasionally, because it was a big campaign when they came out.
Right.
And like, well, we'll splurge once in a while, and they were delicious.
And they still are.
Still are. But thank you, listener Waukesha, for that. So let's finish up Todd's shopping list for last night. Things that are needed, things that aren't needed. So I got the Chobani Greek yogurt, the Kind bars, which I'm trying to switch over to something healthier to eat before the show. I do buy the Colgate toothpaste that's like the quote the Pro or whatever it is, because it has like 5% hydrogen peroxide. Because I don't go and get my teeth whitened, but it actually works. And so it's $9 a tube for that. So that's a little pricey.
As long as you don't squeeze a ton of it on your toothbrush, it lasts a decent while.
Yeah,
though.
it lasts me like a good month and a half. Because I use a different toothpaste in the morning. Anyway, I bought a bath sponge, because my other one, whatever was getting old. That's $1.79. Some rubbing alcohol, $2.49. Dove men shampoo, $8.39. It has coffee in it. And believe me,
Interesting.
with a little bit of hair that I have, that'll last me a year. Deodorant, $4.49. Dial body wash. I like a good Dial soap for body wash, $4.49. Tax on everything was $4.38. The total, $175.26. Now, I'm not good enough at math to add this up, but I went through, and of that, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 different items I went through on that list that I would consider. I'm not going to buy this stuff every week or every other week. These are more staple items on my list. So I'm just guessing out of that $175, 80 was probably staple items.
Unfortunately, a lot of the staple items are cheap, like rice, a couple bucks.
Right.
I mean, not unfortunately, like it's great that it's cheap to buy staple items.
The Tide detergent, $15.99. The Charmin, $27.99 for that big 30 mega pack. Those are the most expensive things. But it adds up. My point is, I guess, and you know how many bags it took for $175.26? I got it in 3 paper sacks.
Wow. I was going to say
the
5,
Charmin and the detergent I carried.
Right. Makes sense.
But 3 paper sacks. And yes, there were a couple of, but as you can see, I'm not buying like high-end meat, or I'm not buying, whatever. But it's expensive. And I just hope that as we go through the next days, months, years ahead, and keep me honest on this, everybody, I'm going to try my best to think in terms of what affects us as Wisconsinites. What affects those single moms, those single parents trying to put food on their table for their kids? And then keep asking our elected officials, both here in Wisconsin and in Washington, the age-old question. What have you done for us lately? Because to Zomer's point, going after Greenland or changing the name from Gulf of America to Gulf of Mexico, that's just noise. It's disturbing, and yes, it signifies the larger aspect of lack of rule of law, which of course affects us. But we should all be asking our elected officials, what have you done for us, the working people, lately? All right, we'll come back to a little What's Worse and more. Don't go anywhere. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Tuesday on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You should keep that receipt, and then we can revisit it and compare prices.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
Washington, Mike McCabe will join us on our next show.
And we'll talk about the future of the United States.
That's all.
The John and Gordy Show, weekday mornings 6 till 8. The John and Gordy Show.
We're talking with Dr. Tim Slecker.
You know, we've been on AI for a long time.
What can you now do with data? You know, ask AI, say, based on what we know about Gordy, and based on what we know about the job market, what should Gordy do for the rest of his life?
Send him to broadcast school. That's it. He's worthless.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app. You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram. This is 92.7 WMDX Columbus, Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A Civic Media station.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. President Trump meeting with King Abdullah of Jordan at the White House amid Mr. Trump's threat to withhold aid to Jordan and Egypt over his U.S. Gaza takeover plan. Reporters in the Oval Office asked the president if he still intends to buy Gaza.
There is nothing to buy. It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to get it going eventually where a lot of jobs are going to be created for the people in the Middle East.
King Abdullah says Jordan will take in 2,000 Gazan children, but he and Egypt's president are balking at accepting all of Gaza's population. The Justice Department has ordered federal prosecutors to drop corruption charges against New York Mayor Eric Adams. It says the case was interfering with the mayor's ability to aid President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. Adams has denied the charges. So far, a mixed day on Wall Street. This is ABC News.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. A sigh of relief for Wisconsin researchers. For now, a judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration's cut to research funding through the National Institutes of Health. The NIH announced on Friday it would be cutting all indirect research funding to 15% reimbursement. UW-Madison, for example, had an agreement with the federal government for 53% reimbursement. University officials said this move would, quote, significantly disrupt, end quote, their efforts to find cures to cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and other kinds of research. Now, that's on top of the other complications from the Trump administration to research efforts. A coalition of states across the country sued, and Wisconsin was part of that coalition. A judge has ruled that the move cannot take effect, and they'll all be back in court 10 days from now. And the city of Monona has banned new vape shops from opening close to schools, parks, and playgrounds. Other cities have adopted measures like these. In fact, Madison did it in 2015. Monona's ordinance now bans new vape and smoke shops within 750 feet of schools, daycare centers, libraries, playgrounds, and parks. And with Valentine's Day this week, it's prime time for scammers. Melissa Kay has some tips on how to make sure what you're ordering is legit.
Turning to online florists for last-minute orders may seem like the answer if you wait too late, but you may end up with a disappointing arrangement or no flowers at all.
Jeff Perry
The
watching on
scams can
Facebook
play out
says,
in multiple
grocery
ways,
shopping
but the
is very
result is
easy for
always
me
frustration
because,
and
as you know,
sometimes
I only
stolen
eat
personal
Captain
and
Crunch.
payment information. The Wisconsin Better Business Bureau recommends you research the seller, read
Crunchitize
customer
me,
reviews,
Captain.
verify the seller's contact info, check that the website is secure,
Now,
use
Jeff,
secure payment
berries
methods
or no
such as
berries?
a credit card, and understand order placement and delivery timelines, among other tips.
If you want to use an online florist, you can always check them out at bbb.org. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. This is 92.7 WMDX News.
The Bucks bow to
This is
Golden
not an
State.
advertisement.
Now Mike
May I
Clemens
ask
with
what
sports.
bakery you
The
get
Bucks
your
losing
pastries
to the
from?
Golden State Warriors,
Wonder
125
State
to 111.
Coffee.
Stephon
Okay, that's what I
Curry led
thought.
Golden State with
But
38
part of those
points,
are from,
the most he's had all season. Jimmy Butler had 20,
sourdough,
9
Madison
rebounds
sourdough.
in his
They get
second
some,
game
they
for
bake
the
some of them in the
Warriors,
house, some of them
who's
are.
been traded
This
from
one's
the
Madison
Heat. Damian
sourdough. It's
Lillard
a
also had 38 points
a
in the
fruit
loss.
pastry, fruit cream cheese, raspberry. I do have a thing for raspberries.
They're good. They're good.
Slipping, getting the guys involved that we wanted to get involved. We didn't do it
Tom, like
consistent
Tom,
enough, and then,
berries
still
are
a close
fine. No
game.
peanut butter crunch though.
Those balls they got to him.
Yeah,
Never had the
You
peanut
know,
butter
we
crunch.
locked in the-
I did.
off
A
threes,
little
they
goes
got
a
lot of
long way.
shooters, and I thought they separated
And like Tom
themselves,
Hoff,
getting
you think
threes
that
off,
Felon
second
47 or
opportunities,
Elon
and then
Musk have ever
obviously
shopped at a
turnovers,
grocery
you know,
store?
I
No,
felt like
never.
I had more turnovers than I ever had in a game today.
Literally
So,
never.
We're
Probably.
not gonna win the game now, but
At least,
we're
at least in Trump's case, maybe Elon years and years ago.
That's
I don't
the
know.
Bucks. Damian Lillard
I would say,
with
I mean,
sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
In Trump's case, never.
Yeah. JD Vance acts weird enough in stores. There's no way Trump has been in more stores than he has.
Partly sunny and crisp today with high temperatures in the upper teens. Will become cloudy tonight with light snow moving in tomorrow morning.
Can I get
Becoming heavy
a
at times,
donut?
good 2 to
Okay.
4 inches is likely
How long
throughout
you
the
work
day,
here?
and expect
Okay.
another 1 to 2 at night. It'll be gone for Thursday with sunny skies and temperatures still in the teens. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. It's 18 degrees at our studios.
What if your limited inventory?
LA
had
Tom also
unlimited
says that's the
potential?
saddest thing. They don't know what that mother
if
of
your
two goes
biggest
through,
risk
but they
was
got
not taking
that
one?
mother of two or people like them to root for them.
What if you could make every move matter? Bank of America's business solutions can help bring your biggest what ifs within reach. Find out how our digital tools, cutting edge insights, and trusted expertise can work for your business. What would you like the power to do? Visit bankofamerica.com.
Dave in New Berlin says, I don't think Trump has ever
Bank of
seen a
America's proud to be the
supermarket.
official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
True
The Maggie Dawn Show.
There are solutions to the rot in the
I gotta get
Supreme
fresh
Court,
promos
and
in
it's
there.
a congressional.
Did we ever do the
binding
Gary
code of
one?
ethics.
I haven't
There
heard
are
that.
Solutions
You
to the
haven't?
corruption. It's a
I put it in the
constitutional
system.
amendment to declare that money isn't speech.
haven't
and
heard
Because
one.
remember I played it for you?
Yeah.
and we
And
can
That's
do
why I
this.
asked, because
These
I
are things that
haven't maybe been
Americans
listening
agree
as
on, no
much as I
matter
do,
our
but
party. We
I
all
haven't heard
know
it yet.
that presidents
Weird.
aren't kings.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
I'll make sure
Weekdays
it's
from
in
2
there
till
after
4
this. And
on
we
your
got
local
about
Civic
20
Media
seconds.
radio
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our outstanding producer, Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 12 noon. Welcome into hour number 2 of the big program on Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Sunny skies here in downtown Madison at the world headquarters of Civic Media right now, but it looks like some snow, some cold, some storminess is going to be coming into the Badger State overnight tonight. Several watches in effect for parts of Wisconsin. The most affected in terms of snowfall is going to be southeast Wisconsin. So go up to Sheboygan, Zommer's hometown of Judas Priest.
Manitowoc.
Thank you. Clearly, I'm having a senior moment. Thank you. I'm looking at the map and reading something and trying to talk something different at the same time. Clearly, that doesn't work. So if you look at Sheboygan to Manitowoc, then down to Milwaukee, Waukesha, Racine, Kenosha, that's where you're going to get the most snow. Over to Jefferson a little bit as well, and then kind of over to Janesville, Beloit. So the southeast-ish corner of the state. Then go from Appleton down to Beaver Dam, Madison, Mineral Point, and then up to Richland Center and Wisconsin Dells. That general vicinity there gets even a lesser amount. So the biggest snows are going to be in Iowa and Illinois and just south of us, but that doesn't mean that the parts of Wisconsin, I mean, they're talking up to 9 inches of snow, pardon me, tonight into tomorrow. And during the commute, that's the big thing with this storm system, is that for people from southwest Wisconsin to a lesser degree, south central Wisconsin, including Madison, our listeners on WMDX to a larger degree, and then particularly for our listeners in southeast Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Racine, and Kenosha, all the way up into Sheboygan area, lots of heavy snow. And this is going to occur from west to east. So people in Richland Center, Madison area, you're going to feel a little bit of this during parts of the commute in to work and to school tomorrow. And then all of us are going to feel it on the way home tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon. So just be aware of that. If you can work from home tomorrow, it might be a good thing to do so. If not, just allow a little extra time and, of course, drive slowly. Our listeners at WGBW in Green Bay, no specific watches and warnings. Doesn't look like you're going to get a lot of accumulation there. For our listeners in Eau Claire, WCFW, not a lot there. Amory, not a lot. But our folks up in Hayward, WBZH, Buzz in the North, getting maybe an inch or so or two to add on to what they already have. Again, they're getting ready for the Birkenbeiner here coming up soon, and so they will take all the snow they can get, I'm sure. So that's kind of the lay of the land. Keep it here to the civic media stations. Be informed and just be aware that the things are going to get dicey early tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon, depending upon where you're at in terms of weather. 9 minutes past the hour of 1 o'clock. We were talking last hour about Todd going grocery shopping, the price of groceries, how these policies in Washington affect us in Wisconsin. Mary, and so I mentioned it last night. I went to Woodman's. I got a big thing. Mom's coming down this afternoon. Going to have a late lunch here in Madison, and I'm looking forward to that. And so I said, well, we use the same kind of toilet paper, Charmin. So I said, well, you get like 30 rolls or 32 rolls of the big mega stuff. And I paid $27.99 last night for 30 mega rolls, which I thought was actually a pretty good price. And now our listener, Mary in Mount Horeb, says toilet paper is much cheaper at Costco, and you should bring your own bags when shopping. Just saying. Okay, Mary, I get it. And I do occasionally have like cloth bags or whatever, but at least I use paper. I didn't use plastic bags last night.
The way I do that, first of all, I do also get toilet paper at Costco.
Do you really?
It is very
Is it
cheap.
cheaper?
I don't remember the price.
All right.
It's been a while because I buy so much. So I'll have to let you know next time I go and maybe offer to buy you some. But yeah, bringing your own bags is good, but every once in a while you got to restock on those paper bags because I use them for recycling.
Right.
Like, put paper and cardboard in the paper bags, then it's easy to bring out to recycle. So
yeah. All right. Well, I did my best. I'll keep trying. All right. It is 11 past the hour of 1 o'clock. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. And of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with
Time
this
once
or you
again
can get
for
with that.
What's Worse. No prize money involved, no cash to give away, but it is your opportunity to be heard across statewide radio on the Civic Media Radio Network. 11 stations in all in every major media market. No better way to get the word out on your product, your business, your organization than the Civic Media Radio Network. Go to civicmedia.us and learn more how you can advertise with us. All right, this is timely indeed, as Mike Lucas likes to say, because whether you're, well, there's a great example. Now, many stores, particularly for self-checkout, we talked about that before, they have cash-only self-checkouts, or the cash and card. I guess it's cash and card, and then they have card-only checkouts, right? And I think more of us, as we go out occasionally, in my case, whether it's to a bar, whether it's to a restaurant, some people, some places are cash-only, and some are cashless. All right? So here it is. What's worse? Cashless or cash only? What's worse? Cashless or cash only? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Give us a call. Let us know. Or you could text us on the beautiful Civic Media app. You can download it at your Apple or Android device. Simply go to your app store. Type in Civic, C-I-V-I-C, Media. It'll pop up a cute CM logo. You click on that. Takes less than a minute. It's free to download to your phone. It's what CBS's Gail King calls a deal. Give it a try. And we're on, you open up that Civic Media app, we're on the first 11 stations. And here's something they don't want me to tell you, but I'm going to anyway. Let's see if the top floor calls in on this. I hear tell in some time in the future, there may be another text to win contest coming up. You heard it here first. At some point this year, we're going to have another text to win contest.
I hope so.
and you can be ahead of everybody else. You could be first in line, because here's the thing about these great text to win contests that our VP Aaron Carreno sets up is that you have to text in. You can't, unless you're an impaired person or a challenged person, you have to use the text line. And the only way you could use the text line is to download the Civic Media app. So do it right now. You'll be glad you did. You can hear Badger Sports for free on the Civic Media app. You can get weather updates. You can hear our show and all the other great programs. Download it today on the Civic Media app. You heard it here first. What's worse, cash less or cash only? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Andrew, listening on WMDX here in Madison, says cash less is worse, especially when they add a surcharge. All right, that's it. That's a great point. And as a former small business owner, I can tell you that's real, because that's why some businesses are going to cash only.
Oh, absolutely.
Because some of these fees on places like Square is one of these, and we use Square in our coffee shop, but there are other names out there where you use your card to tap or whatever. They, depending upon the company, they'll charge like 2, 3, 4%, and then the credit card company charges 1%. So you might lose 6% on a sale if you're using cash less. So that's why a lot of companies, a lot of businesses say cash only. So there you go.
Steve in Milwaukee says cash only because who wants to stop at the ATM and probably pay a fee?
Well, that's true too. There are, I know, like the Quick Trip ATMs.
Quick Trip ATMs are free.
Or as we used to say in my generation, the time machines. You ever hear that?
Yeah, because Time used to be the most prominent brand of ATM.
Right. It stood for Take Your Money Everywhere.
As long as people don't say ATM machine, because then you're saying automated teller machine.
So yeah, there's a certain generation of my people that still call them time machines. What's worse, cash less or cash only? Our ongoing contributor and friend, Jeff Perry, says cash only is worse. I haven't carried cash in my wallet since Bush was president. Which one, Jeff? But that's a really good point too. I keep a little change jar next to my bed, my nightstand, because, it's for look in my pocket at night and then take it up. I hardly have any in there anymore because I rarely carry cash anymore.
Yeah, I used to build up all my change and then bring it in and get like $40 in change, and I haven't done that in years.
Yeah. So, yeah, Perry has a good point there, as he always does. What's worse, cash less or cash only? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. L.A. Tom says, unfortunately, there were 2 bushes. Cash in the hand is better than 2 in the bush. Or something like that. I don't know, Zommers, what do you think? What's the words, cash less or cash only?
I will say, when you don't know that you're going somewhere that's cash only, paying the ATM fee is annoying. But that just feels more real than the credit card fee, even though that's also there.
Right.
Like just tacked into their price. So I don't know. I like the convenience of cashless, where you just have your one piece of plastic, and you tap it, and you're done.
Right.
But I also do like the feel of going to a dive bar and you just set your 20 on the table on the bar in front of you, and then let them take whatever out of it, and then play dice and see who wins. And so they have their place. The worst is not knowing what it's going to be.
That's true. I'll add on to that I think maybe what's worse is a cash only place that doesn't have an ATM nearby.
That's bad. That's worse.
Like most of the bars that I've been in or restaurants that are cash only, they have an ATM in the lobby. And so it's like, okay, so I got to pay a $2 fee or $3 fee. It's kind of like whatever. But yeah, I think cash only, but if you don't have an ATM at the establishment.
A lot of the places that are cash only, the prices are low enough that it's worth that ATM fee.
Right.
Especially like if you buy, like let's say it's a bar, if you buy like 2 to 3 drinks, you've already made up the ATM fee and how much cheaper it is than other establishments.
And from a server perspective, carry cash with you is better to tip in cash than it is on the card, if you can help
then you can lie to the government.
You did not hear that from us.
I'm
All
joking.
right, come on back. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Tuesday. 74-year-olds still having babies. We'll explain on the other side.
74-year-olds still having babies.
We'll explain.
Be mine this Valentine's Day. It's the Happy Hour of Love, Friday, February 14th at the Gamma Ray Bar in Madison, featuring the flavor that kills. With special guest Mothballs. The show starts at 5, so bring your date and let's rock. The Happy Hour of Love with the flavor that kills. Presented by 92.7 WMDX and Max Inc. on Civic Media. We are local music.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. February 10th, the head of the Office of Government Ethics, a Senate-confirmed position, was fired by letter by President Donald Trump, likely illegally. In an even more questionable action the same day, the U.S. Department of Justice dropped federal corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. As we reported last December, Mayor Adams was accused by the Biden DOJ of taking campaign donations from foreign nationals and businessmen, allegedly using straw donors to make them appear as legitimate donations. He was also accused of doing favors in exchange for luxury travel and attempting to conceal those transactions. January 17th, Adams traveled to meet with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And recently, Adams expressed a willingness to work with the administration on immigration, contrary to New York City's status as a sanctuary city. Now, DOJ has reversed course, citing a memo from Trump's AG restoring the integrity and credibility of the Department of Justice and Trump's executive order ending the weaponization of the federal government. Also on Monday, David Heidema, the director of the Office of Government Ethics, confirmed by the Senate in December for a 5-year term, was notified of his firing by Trump. The head of the Office of Special Counsel, Hampton Dellinger, fired by Trump February 7th, had his removal blocked by a federal judge on Monday. We've linked the DOJ's memo dropping charges against Adams at AmericanDemocracyMinute.org. I'm Brian Beal.
A voice for Madison. Real news and great conversation.
Wisconsin, 21 past the hour of 1 o'clock. Hour number 2 here, along with Aaron Zommers, mixing the tunes. I love that song, Zommers.
It's such a good one.
Right? It's a lovely day. It is beautiful out right now. A little chilly, but it's a lovely day here in Madison. It's for parts of Wisconsin, it's going to get dicey in terms of the roads later. It really doesn't move in until super late tonight. It's going to affect people from west to east tomorrow, from southwest Wisconsin predominantly through central and south central Wisconsin, and then off to the southeast part of the state. People from Sheboygan down to Racine, Kenosha, and over to Janesville. That's where the heaviest snows, maybe up to 9 inches in parts of the listing area for WAUK in the Milwaukee area. Here in Madison, I think 4 to 5, maybe they're talking maybe 6 on the super high end, but more likely 4 to 5. And then, a couple, 3 inches up by Richland Center. Other parts of the state up in our listeners at Hayward, WBZH, maybe an inch or 2 up there. For Wausau, Eau Claire, Amory, Green Bay, not much at all, but they got some earlier or a few days ago. So guess what? It's winter on the 11th of February. So we'll deal with it. And again, the farmers, our ag producers really, really need the snow. They need the moisture because right now we're into a drought or dry conditions. Here we are in the middle of winter for our ag producers. If you still want to call in, finishing up a little bit of what's worse, cash only or cashless? Cashless or cash only? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Well, I suppose I should get to this because people are going to say, you're nuts, Todd. Well, that's true. A female, age 74, still having babies. Can you believe this, Summers? He's looking there. No, I don't actually.
Yeah, not really. But I mean,
there's
okay. healthy babies?
Right.
That's my question.
They are healthy, from what I
Well, all right.
understand. Yes, there's a twist on it. A female age 74 is still having babies. Her name is Wisdom. She is the world's oldest known wild bird, an albatross.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
An albatross. She spends 90% of her time in the air and returns to the same nest on a Pacific tollway to lay one egg per year. I didn't know that. Just lay one egg per year. So how about that? Still getting at 74, still producing little birds. that's
It makes a lot more sense.
Right. I know.
It's still impressive.
I came across that. I thought that would be a little fun to have, during the What's Worse episode. So did you weigh in? You weighed in on cash only, right? That was worse.
Right. I think that if I had to pick one, I would pick to just have cashless because of the convenience. So I would say that cash only is worse. But at the same time, it's not as clear cut. It's not as definitive.
Right.
Sometimes I'll weigh in and be like, this is definitely worse.
I maintain cashless is worse, particularly when they don't have an ATM.
That's true.
So I'm going with that. So there you go. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Gary down in Sussex calling in. Gary, what's worse, cashless or cash only?
Cash only is way worse. My pockets aren't big enough to handle those pennies anymore. I have on my cell phone. I have my ID, and I have 2 credit cards, and they stick on the outside of my cell phone.
Oh, sure.
I don't have any money at all. I've been using my credit card and everything, and then in my business, I end up getting 2% back at the end of the year, which comes out to like $15,000 that I make by using my credit card.
Mm-hmm.
And also on gas from Costco, you get 4 cents back on certain gas stations, and it's about 90% of all gas stations. There are certain ones you can't go to. So no, I hate cash. I like cashless. So.
Well, and also to your point, is
want to
just
know how I really feel?
No, that's great. That's fantastic. But the cash is bulky, right? Now, here's my fear, Gary. But you're probably more responsible than I am. Sometimes I fear, particularly like if I do have my debit and credit card logged into my iPhone, so I can use it that way. But I'm always thinking if everything is on my phone, and if I misplace my phone, I'm SOL.
Yeah, or somebody found your phone.
Right. Thank goodness it's locked.
Get in there, yeah.
Right.
That'd be a real problem.
All right, Gary. I appreciate the call. Yep. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Yep. What's worse, cashless or cash only? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Mark checking in on Facebook. Now, this is a great point. Mark calling in or checking in, saying as long as there are strippers, cash will be needed. Now, that's true. I mean, let's just be real a second. I mean, you're not gonna put a credit card and.
Well, maybe they'll just get a little square and attach it to their undergarments, and then you just go up and you tap it. So instead of making it rain, you just go and you tap it.
Zomer is about to truly get arrested after suggesting people should start tapping strippers.
No. I'm saying if they make that change, maybe they already have. I don't know. I've never been in a strip club.
It's been years. I've been in twice. Once, my friend's bachelor party, which I was the best man in, I wasn't going to take him to a strip club. He didn't want to go to a strip club, but all of his buddy, he was in a fraternity. And
gotcha.
Long about 11 o'clock at night, after a couple of rounds, and we had a driver, they decided that we were going to go, and Ryan and I were like, all right, fine. He just, that wasn't his jam,
It's his party.
It's certainly not mine.
I wonder why that is.
Right. And so, nobody was batting for my team at this place. And so we went, and it was seedy, unseemly. I don't know. And the only other time is I was with a friend of mine in northern Wisconsin at some little podunk place in the wall. And it was ridiculous. And again, I didn't get much out of it at all. But, yeah, it's not a place that I don't think you're going to use a credit card or a debit card. So I guess Mark's right. As long as there are strip clubs, cash will still be king. All right, that's how we play What's Worse. Mark, nice job at the end there. Come on back. We're going to talk about Robin Voss. Find out what's popping with Robin. He's trying to one-up the Trumpster on the other side. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show on Civic Media.
Conversation 92.7 WMDX. Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across
That was really
Wisconsin.
good.
Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
I've probably said this before, that I've wanted to go to a strip club just to say I went to a strip club, but I very much do not want to go to a strip club for any other reason, so I haven't. Especially because most of the options that I previously would have had available before moving to Madison would be like, all right, I'll go to one of the one or two strip clubs in Manitowoc. Probably going to see someone I know there, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, somebody graduated with, yeah.
Their operations.
Whether you mean another attendee or another performer, not another performer. I'm not a performer myself. Either a performer or attendee. Like, no, neither.
Now we know what Zommers does when he goes to Manitowoc.
This is why I had the orange jumpsuit, because I've been performing without being allowed to. You can't just hop on stage.
You have to have a license.
And across the country are facing challenges.
Yeah, I don't want to see people I know either attending or performing at a strip club.
Right now,
All right, we can dial up a little. We don't have to use it
I
coming
hear
in, but
from
dial
folks
up a little.
about
What's
how
popping with Robin
increased
Vaughn.
Or we could use it coming in. I mean,
stretching their thin
yeah, we could.
budgets
That's
and
fine.
how lack of market access and workforce issues are all impacting folks' bottom line.
Baldwin says the dairy business initiatives have already helped hundreds of producers and processors improve.
To date, more than 250 farmers and processors in the Midwest have benefited
And yeah, Sarah
from the dairy
in Green Bay
business
texts in
innovation
strippers could use a
initiative.
QR code
One
when
of
they go
my
on
favorite
stage.
parts
Yes,
of being
absolutely.
a United States Senator is seeing how these small grants can help our dairy farmers take their businesses to new heights.
She claims the Dairy Business Innovation Act will ensure these
Oh
opportunities
boy, my
continue
roommate's
in the
texting me.
future.
I wonder if he's listening,
Bipartisan
and this is about
legislation
strippers.
will make sure that this program is up and running in the years to come, and it gives a boost to its funding.
The new legislation would increase the program's annual funding from $20 million to $36 million. A companion to the bipartisan bill has been introduced in the House as well. I'm Lisa Hale, Civic Media News.
And I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. What better time to announce new concert dates than after a couple billion people saw your Super Bowl halftime performance? Kendrick Lamar is doing just that as he announced new dates of his grand national tour where he will be
completely
joined by
unrelated.
SZA, who also joined him for part of the show at Super Bowl 59.
I was hoping.
The tour starts in April and tickets go on sale as early as this coming weekend. One of the great things about being homesick is you get to catch up on TV to the point where you're sick of it.
To
So the least
segue
I could
to your
do is
segment.
pass along a recommendation or
I
two.
used to
If you
dance
like a
to the
good
name
thriller,
of it.
check out
Really?
Don't
I did
Move.
not know
The film was
that.
directed by
I did
Sam
not know
Raimi
that,
and is about a
Jeffrey.
girl who faces
See,
becoming
after all these
completely
years, I still
incapacitated
find
after
something
being
new about my
drugged
friends.
as she tries to escape a predator in the woods. The film is only an hour and a half long and constantly moves. Really solid new film from Sam Raimi that you can check out on Netflix. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic
The
Media
Onion
app.
has an article called "The Onion Remembers Steve
Partly
Bannon,
sunny and
Trump's
crisp
most
today with high
encrusted
temperatures in the
advisor,"
upper teens.
which
It'll
made me
become
think
cloudy
he
tonight
died
with
or
light
something,
snow
but that is
moving
not
in
the
tomorrow morning.
case.
Becoming
No,
heavy at
he
times, a good 2 to
pled
4 inches is
guilty
likely
to
throughout
no
the day.
jail time
And expected
Right.
from 1 to
on,
2 at night. It'll be
basically trying to
Thursday
steal the
with
election.
sunny skies
Yeah,
and
that's what I
temperatures
thought.
still in the teens. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. It's 18 degrees at our studios.
Hey, hon, have you been to Sugar River Pizza in Sun Prairie yet?
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I know. I love the pizza.
Pizza is ridiculous. That crust.
Right, and they have
48 beers on tap and a great selection of wines.
And the atmosphere,
Not
that-
only is the restaurant gorgeous,
That room with the giant
windows
windows,
that open, and they won a Best of Madison Gold Award this year.
I love Sugar
River
River.
Pizza on Cabela Drive in Sun Prairie.
You took the words right out of my
mouth.
Yep. SugarRiverPizza.com.
Oh, so you have heard of it.
Choosing a florist for Valentine's Day for the best and freshest flowers in Waterloo, Lake Mills, Marshall, Deerfield, and surrounding areas, Waterloo Blooms
30
has
seconds.
exactly
Thank you.
what you're looking for.
Love to hear the robin go tweet, 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 rockin' robin, tweet, tweet, rockin' robin.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network, 34 past the hour of 1 o'clock. The popcorn is popping, along with Aaron Zommers, Allbaugh on the mic. Glad to have you along. If you hear a little rockin' robin, that means only one thing. It's time to check in at the state capitol up the street on State Assembly Speaker, Republican Robin Voss. By the way, our friend and ongoing contributor, Jeff Perry, says on Facebook, you can watch all these shows live if you want to join us on the stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter X. Jeff Perry says, to segue between your segments, I used to dance under the name Robin. I did not know that. You're the people I've known since childhood. Here, I learned new things about him.
I think that's a joke, though.
Oh, is it?
I don't think
right.
he really. Feel free to.
We'll
me
check
on
it out
this,
later.
Jeff.
Yeah, we'll check it out later. So here now, this is serious. Wisconsin Examiner, great publication. You can find all the work at wisconsinexaminer.com. And Jane and I talked. I was on the Jane Matnair program this morning. Jane Matnair's Matnair on Air, along with Greg Bach and Kelvin. Three finer people you cannot find. And Jane was so kind enough as to have me on her program this morning. And we talked a little bit about some of the goofiness right now that's happening up the street at the state capitol. And one of these, Wisconsin Examiner headline, Republicans promise tax cuts as Wisconsin lawmakers are sworn in for the 2025-27 session. This story, a little over about a month old from January, but I didn't see this. And so Jane was talking about a couple other bizarre things that Voss wants to do. And so I was just kind of looking around for different things. I happened upon this story I had missed back in January. So we have and by the way, we're going to carry this for you on Civic Media a week from today, Governor Evers' budget address. Should be a barn burner. No, I'm just kidding. Look, these things are never, radio politically sexy, quote unquote. In other words, rarely do you have some, big new program, but they're very, very important to stay informed. And so the governor, he had the State of the State address. And so every other year, the governor gets another kick at the can to address the state of Wisconsin as he addresses lawmakers, and he specifically lays out his plan for the state budget, the biennial, as they call it, state budget. Not only that, it's only every other year. It only happens every other year. They call it biennial. So what happens in this process is the governor gets to submit what he believes the budget for the state of Wisconsin should be, and then the legislature proposes what they think. And if you have a split legislature, then you have a Senate version and a Senate or Assembly version. Right now, Republicans control both houses. So generally speaking, they have one alternative budget. Sometimes, no, but lately it has been a unified. They kind of hash it out amongst themselves. So this is really important stuff. And by the way, we, the working people, the state taxpayers, we have put into the state coffers $4.5 billion with a B of a state budget surplus. So according to this story from the Wisconsin Examiner, it says Robin Voss laid out his goals for the session, including passing a tax cut, given the state's $4.5 billion budget surplus, not growing the size of government by creating new programs, demanding accountability and measurable results before increasing spending, and increasing government efficiency and innovation. Now, on the face of it, I don't disagree with some of those things. I mean, I think that in general, smaller government is better, closer to the people is better. I think that having government be accountable is good, and efficiency is good. But then we kind of take a wrong turn here, in my opinion. Voss says, quote, the money that we set aside for that tax cut will not be spent by this legislature on other wants, no matter how many special interests or tax and spend politicians apply pressure to get it out of the Treasury's hands, unquote. Okay, number one, Wisconsin doesn't have a treasury. Well, what's happening here is they're getting government envy. The state boys are jealous that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Elon Musk are getting all the coverage. So they decide, well, we got to do something. And right away, they say, well, this tax cut that we acquiesced to not doing last time because we dealt with Governor Evers and both sides gave something and we passed a state budget. But what we negotiated last time, we're going to hold on to that for this time, even though it's a new legislature. So they want to say that they're tax cuts that they want, so that money isn't really there, which of course it is. And then they go on to, Voss goes on to talk about, the tax and spend politicians. That's just, standard hyperbole and rhetoric by Republicans. But it's traditional, right? Traditional conservatives, they don't like tax and spend. They don't like big government. They want accountability. So then Voss goes on to basically contradict himself. The story from the Wisconsin Examiner says, quote, Voss said, the newly created Assembly Government Operations Accountability and Transparency Committee, which will be known as GOAT, which will be chaired by Representative Amanda Nudesky, will lead the effort to improve efficiency. The committee was inspired by the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, I like to call it DOGGY, which is not an official federal agency, headed by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, working with the incoming Trump administration. Now, since this story was written, of course, Ramaswamy has said, look, I'm going to go run for governor of Ohio. So, as we've talked about on this show, DOGE is not a real department or agency because the president, let alone a civilian, cannot just create a government entity. It has to, there are ways you do that. Bills are introduced in Congress, passed and signed into law by the president. They did not do this. And I find it remarkably hypocritical for Robin Voss and the Republicans, who in two paragraphs in this story, they were talking about how they wanted to downsize government, but yet they're creating a brand new committee. And each committee, by the way, you have to have a chair. The chair has a staff person that keeps track of all that. The Legislative Reference Bureau has to there's lots of expense by creating a committee. And also bureaucratic red tape, which traditional conservatives said they don't want. And here's the kicker. There are so many committees in both the Assembly and the Senate that they could easily roll this responsibility into a standing committee. But because they're jealous of Trump and want more attention, they're creating another layer of bureaucracy, not conservative, and calling it GOAT. Government Operations Accountability and Transparency.
This is very much hanging on to the coattails of Doge, Doggy, because it's taking another meme, because Doge is a meme, and GOAT is also become a meme. Greatest of all time is what it stands for.
Right. And they're playing off of that, which is just weird.
They're just poorly copying their homework.
Right. So then the story in the Wisconsin Examiner goes on and talks about Senate President Mary Felskowski, Republican of Tomahawk. And she talks about being only the second woman after former Senator Mary Lozick to be the Senate president. Says she wants to blaze a new trail. Says she wants bipartisan debate in the Senate, which I admire her for that. She says, quote, in this time, this is Senate President Mary Felskowski, quote, in this time of sensationalized politics and 30-second Twitter clips, true debate on the Wisconsin State Senate floor is needed more than ever. From this chair, I will ensure the right of the minority to be heard as they argue their case, while at the time ensuring that the will of the majority still reigns true. I will expect and encourage robust debate, but require that dignity and respect for the rules that our constituents expect of us to have in government of the people and by the people. Now, I don't, again, necessarily disagree with what Felkowski says. I hope that Democrats hold her to that the right of the minority to be heard, which includes, by the way, not playing political games of quickly adjourning or pretending you don't hear objections. That old trick has been used by both sides for a long time. Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu, Republican of Utzberg, said his top priority will be to return the budget surplus to Wisconsin taxpayers, strengthen the economy, and pass a quote-unquote responsible, balanced budget. He also took aim at Governor Evers, who has started to outline some of his hopes for the state budget, including additional spending. And here now is where current state superintendent Dr. Jill Underly is doing public education and Democrats no favors at all. Because Underly has come out with an extreme position, in my opinion, saying that she wants all $4 billion of the state surplus to be put into public education. Well, that's just goofy and not realistic and greedy. And again, I haven't seen anything where Underly has put on paper where she justifies a $4 billion expenditure. Do I think we should be spending more money on public education? Absolutely. But when your current Secretary of Public Instruction, Jill Underly, says, I want all $4 billion, well, that just gives the people on the other side, the extreme Republicans, the ammunition they need to say Democrats are nuts, which of course they aren't. But when you have goofy proposals out there like Underly's, it gives them the ammo. That's why when I hear people like Jeff Wright, who's a Democrat, who's running in this primary coming up next Tuesday, a week from today, on February 18th, I hope Democrats are smart enough to nominate Jeff Wright as one of the people. Because Jeff Wright is someone who is a Democrat but works in a district like Sauk Prairie that he has to deal with Republicans and Democrats, who is pragmatic and reasonable and gets stuff done. By the way, Jeff Wright has said he disagrees with Underly to put all $4 billion towards public education. Anyway, LeMahieu, Senate President, says, quote, Wisconsin is approaching a crossroads. In one direction, we can recreate prosperity, and in the other direction, we can create hardship. More than $4 billion of taxpayer money is sitting in the account here in Madison, while rising prices impact families who sent us here to serve them. Governor Evers wants to use that money to grow the size of government and send Wisconsin backwards, unquote. See, I just don't think that's the case, because I have here in my hot little hands, as they say, from January 22nd, 2025, a very lengthy, well thought out statement from Governor Tony Evers. Says the 2025 State of the State Address, which we carried here on Civic Media, and outlines several things that we expect to hear from Governor Evers next week in the state budget address. Things that affect our Wisconsin families, including public education. Yes, do we need to increase that? Yes. As we talked about on Jay McNair's show this morning, now some Republicans in the Assembly are introducing a bill that would cap the amount of money that local school boards can put up to referendum. Let me say that again. There are Republicans in the legislature that want to cap the amount of money that local school boards can ask for in referendum. That seems very odd. As someone who was a Republican until 2011 when I left the party, it is antithetical. Not only that, it doesn't go along with everything else they said before. Republicans have always said, we believe in local control. So what this says to me is that Robin Vos and Devin LeMahieu and the state legislative Republicans no longer trust duly elected local school boards to do their job. Devin LeMahieu and Robin Vos want to dictate from on high in Madison what you can do in your local community. That ain't conservative by traditional standards. And it's certainly not government closer to the people. Republicans have lost their way big time. Back to wrap up the show after this. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
News and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
When you're having computer problems, you need a company you trust to get things working again, quickly and affordably. Madison Computer Works has been doing that for business and residential customers for decades. Our computer care plans take away the hassle of being without your computer or needing to bring it in for repair. Starting at only $10 a month, our local and friendly techs provide remote help and can fix most problems in just minutes. Call 608-231-8000 and sign up today. Madison Computer Works, computers that work for you.
Transform your outdoor space with David J. Frank, Wisconsin's
David
award-winning
James,
landscape management company for
WRCO
65
News.
years. You've seen their beautiful work at Hilldale Shopping Center. From expert lawn care to seasonal flower beds, precise trimming and sustainable solutions, David J. Frank makes your vision a reality. And right now is the best time to prune or remove trees. Request your free quote today at davidjfrank.com and get on their list for spring cleanups. David J. Frank, 65 years of excellence in every blade of grass.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. Donald Trump is president again, and Democrats need to take a new approach to combat this presidency. Part of that is recognizing the realignment of how we arrived here. In last year's election, one thing Trump did successfully was turn out people who might not otherwise vote. In Wisconsin, he increased his vote share in all 72 counties en route to the largest popular vote total in state history. How did he do this? Well, as I see it, there are two factions of Republicans.
Remember,
One is
Jeff,
the more
we had a
traditional
guy
country
had a
club
very
Republicans.
distinct
The other
cadence
is
in
the
the
newer
voice at
group that I'm
WRCO.
calling the pro
He'd do the
wrestling
news.
Republicans.
He'd say,
In my latest
for
column, I wrote about how
WRCO
Donald
News,
Trump
I'm
transformed
David
the party
James,
by
WRCO
prioritizing
News.
the pro wrestling Republicans.
He'd say
who I
WRCO
recognize
News
No,
twice.
I know,
reality
I kind of
is
made that up. I'm trying to remember the exact verbiage or cadence. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's from the 1980s.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show right here on the Civic Media Radio Network, 9 before the hour of 2 o'clock. At the top of the hour, ABC or CBS News, depending upon which of our great stations you're listening to, and then the Maggie Dawn Show. Every afternoon from 2 until 4, tune in to Maggie Dawn. Are you on the show today, Zommers, or no? No, you're not.
I am not.
All right, very good. Do you know who's producing today?
I believe Calvin.
Oh, very good. Calvin will be on the show.
Also
Calvin,
known as Calviente or Dr. Slide.
he has several names. It's all I can do to just remember my own. But I feel badly because it was my great honor to be on Matt and Air this morning, and Jane and Greg and I got into a lot of political debate. I did not have time or take the opportunity to give a shout out to Kelvin again for being just an absolutely expert Milwaukee Bucks fan.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he knows that team inside and out. He knows statistics, or as you say back home, statistics. He knows it all, and he can talk about it. So I'm very impressed with Kelvin's Milwaukee Bucks sports knowledge. So he'll be along with Maggie from 2 to 4, and then it's the Dominic Salvia show from 4 until 6. I believe Pete Schwab is back doing the entertainment updates. Is he back in the host chair? His voice is just given out.
I'm glad he's starting to feel better, though.
Yes, me too. And so I think he may be back tonight for Nightlight with Pete Schwab. And then 8 until 10, it's Rick Smith Across America. And then it's our good friend Robert Pilot with Native Roots Radio. So there you go. Great lineup tonight on Civic Media. Speaking of great guests, tomorrow, Wake Up the Kids, set the, we don't have really DVRs? I don't know. People don't even have DVRs anymore. because everything's on demand. Anyway, very honored. We have word now that the liberal candidate for Wisconsin State Supreme Court, Judge Susan Crawford,
Oh, really?
is going to be on the show in hour number 1.
Excellent.
So looking forward to Judge Crawford. Going to be here at the same time as our friend Trygve Olsen, senior advisor of the Lincoln Project. So that's a jam-packed first hour. We will talk to Judge Crawford, find out from her why she's running for state Supreme Court, what she feels the most important issues are. So join us in hour number 1 as we sit down and talk with Judge Susan Crawford, running for Wisconsin State Supreme Court. And then on Trygve Olsen as well, in his regular time slot, Kreitlow may or may not call in from the Caribbean. So he's too busy having margaritas and applying suntan lotion.
Understandable.
Right. And then on Thursday, very excited to have Reed Galen on the show, our old friend Reed Galen, who we've traveled around the state with, of course, one of the founders of the Lincoln Project and now the president of the union, one of the offshoots of the Lincoln Project, which focuses more on voting and turning out the vote, voter registration, and democracy issues. So Reed Galen, president of the union, will be here on Thursday. And then on Friday, very excited as we'll be doing the show from the middle of Lake Mendota. Looking forward to it. No, it's not true. But wouldn't that be something if it was?
It would.
Yeah. No, we'll have fun games on Friday. So it's a great week, and of course we have what's worse on Friday is fantastic.
It is. Too bad I won't be here for it.
Yeah, Zommers is leaving me, as most men do. Zommers is leaving me on Friday, and Luke left me as well. Again, this is not unlike my sorry and sad dating life, but by God bless Sam Davidson. He has agreed to spend Valentine's with me.
At least you got somebody.
At least I got somebody. I got
Even if it's
nobody.
Even if it's not your first or second choice.
Dial up that song. We'll go out with that today instead of banging your drum. I ain't got nobody. So that'll be great. It'll be Valentine's, and we'll talk Valentine's things. We have a great What's Worse on Friday for Valentine's as well. It involves. Does it involve dating? Here, let me just go look at this.
Fridays?
Quickly. Friday.
It involves Valentine's Day.
It involves Valentine's Day. Yes, it involves because look, there's a lot of us that are single, and so it hits differently. And Valentine's Day is a kind of a commercial holiday.
Kind of.
We'll talk about that on Friday as well. So all that's coming up. It's going to be a big week. So we invite you to come on along, as they say. Again, your thoughts. We've got a couple minutes here if you want to call in on these thoughts of Robin Voss. This is the one that just floors me. That these guys, I think it is. Yeah, he's asking if it's Louis Armstrong song. I think so. That these guys, again, my former party that I left in 2011, always talking about smaller government, and now they're doing things like increasing government, creating this goofy Assembly Government Operations Accountability and Transparency Committee. They're calling it GOAT to go along with the made-up Doge or Doggy that Elon Musk is heading up. They're creating more bureaucracy. They're creating more government, and then they cap it off with saying, we don't trust you at the local government level, so we're going to introduce a bill to cap how much local school boards can put a referendum. And then as Jane pointed out this morning, and I know this guy, Travis Tranel of Grant County in southwest Wisconsin, he's got a bill now that would require all chains of local government to sign off on any solar, not any, but almost any solar or wind project. So like my farm was out in Bloom Township in rural Richland County. We didn't have a lot of zoning. There are townships that for whatever reason, they say, look, we're not going to do a bunch of zoning. You can kind of live and let live. But now Republicans don't want that anymore. Now they want all kinds of new rules, more government in our lives. Boy, have things changed. All right, stay tuned. Maggie Dawn is next. Whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum and keep singing. I ain't got nobody.
Nobody. No one.
Jeff, you're right. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, Louis Prima.
Thank you, Jeff.
We'll dial that up for Friday.
Well, that's what that was, though, Louis Prima.
Oh, was
that
all
should
right.
have been the right one,
All right,
I think.
all right.
Also, LA Tom, I am coming back. Yes, no, I'm not leaving this show for another show. No, I'm just going on Friday.
You just gone on Friday. Yeah. don't. I understand why you asked that question, but no, he's just taking one day off.
If it's not Mrs. Paul's, throw it back.
And with that, I say
All right.
adios.
See you later. Bye-bye.